hello. So happy to be able to talk to you about our common passions, which is Team CBT. And you were one of the first people to be trained by David Burns in Team CBT. So this is a huge privilege. And we are going together be presenting the first session in the Warsaw Intensive. And in that first session, we'll do the whole overview of the whole model. So that is quite an ambitious plan. But with you, I feel safe to do it, that you indeed accomplish that. So,
and with you, I feel excited to do it.
yeah. So first, maybe tell us what the team is from your perspective, and also that we are going to have a business track in our for the first time ever. We are going to be teaching corporate and business applications of Team CBT. But first, what is Team CBT?
Yeah, so many exciting and portions of the training we're going to be doing. So Team CBT was developed by David Burns, as you mentioned, who used to be in Philadelphia and now is in Palo Alto, Stanford area. And he was an early adopter of CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, along with Albert Ellis and Aaron Beck and many others. And he developed these insights that we're so lucky to have learned from about the importance of several methods that are in the TEAM acronym. T being testing, E, empathy. And testing is like we use a data-driven approach. We want data, just like when we go to the primary care doctor or the other doctor, they want to get our vital signs. They want to check our blood pressure and our pulse and our temperature. And here we want to check those same things when we have a patient, a client we're seeing for therapy. They're the same type of markers, right? How anxious or down or angry are they feeling? How positive are they feeling about things, right? How's their relationship? Because relationships are so important to all of us. And empathy, right? We were talking a bit about empathy. Maybe we'll expand on that in a moment. But that ability to build rapport, even when there's conflict, and as we said, like especially when there's conflict, to be able to get back on track with someone.
Yeah, I think that the model of empathy, the 5 secrets of effective communication that David developed is actually brilliant, because it is applicable to all of us. It is hard as actually to apply in our private lives, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
But you know, the richness that of the experience of deepened relationship, whether it is professional or personal, is so rewarding. I mean, that you discover like new richness in the relationship, in therapy, or as we are going to be talking about, this business application. So tell me, what is an A in team? Because we are already talking about T, E, and what is an A?
A, agenda setting. There are a couple of ways to look at it, right? Oftentimes, therapists are trained that clients have resistance, and we want to decrease their resistance, and the resistance gets in the way of their change that they're wanting, because it's what's going on for them is causing suffering. So they want to change that. They want to not be suffering, but they might have some resistance. But agenda setting in team, we look at that resistance as something beautiful, valuable, helpful, useful, beneficial to the patient. The things that they're doing, the things that all of us are doing that are getting in the way of any positive change we want to make, right? They have a history. They were born out of something, and they solved some problem for us, some utility for us. And so it's, there's a number of tools that David described that you're going to lead us through at the workshop, and many of our colleagues will lead us through in more depth at the workshop, so that people really have excellent tools to deal with resistance. Kind of in a nutshell, it gets us like aligned with the patient, so that we're not like at odds with the patient. We're like, let's come around to be on the same side of things. Let's look at this together and work together at wherever we're going. Let's like decide together where we're going and work toward it. There's no like kind of pushing and pulling. And I find that is super helpful in therapy, also in my personal life and even in just like my medical practice. Even if I'm just doing med management visits with someone, I think it's super helpful to avoid these entanglements. Like we're going to be partners here, right? Being partners with anyone is always much better than being at odds with them.
Yeah, that is very important thing. So that we bring different agendas to the table. Both the therapist who very often wants to help the patient, and the patient has also different agendas, and really, as you said, looking from patient's perspective, even when prescribing medications, we are collaborating.
Right.
That you are not. There is no pull and push or whatever. We are pulling together, moving towards a common goal, and really bringing that what we call resistance, but it is not. It is inevitable process. But bringing it to the patient's awareness releases this energy. So very often in traditional way of doing therapy, very often we apply methods in cognitive behavioral therapy before that resistance is melted, or before the position, all these agendas are really understood,
Right.
and because we are not aware of them. And in that stage of agenda setting, we are uncovering and bringing all those reasons not to change to awareness, and that releases this potential energy that is like, and then the therapy and then application of methods is just the icing of the cake and just goes really fast. And yes, and thanks to that, there is this possibility of really helping people really quickly recover rapidly from their, often lifelong depression, anxiety, and so on.
Yeah. I love the way you're saying that. I feel like there's this, like, it's like kind of underground. This resistance can be kind of be underground, right? And it's going to be this constant pull against our forward movements where the patient says that they want to go and they do want to go and we want to help them get there. There's this kind of pull underneath. Like if we open it up and we bring it to the light, then suddenly it's not like this drag anymore. And like you said, we unlock this potential energy potential. Talk about that more, because I loved it when you said that the other day. I love that idea. I think it's so true.
So thank you very much. So from physics, potential energy is if we put something, let's say, on the shelf, right? So it has potential gravitational energy, so that it falls off, it is going to change into kinetic energy, right? So the way I'm looking at the resistance is really not as much as a resistance as the process that is in the patient, motivational process that seems to be uh, in a way of therapeutic progress. But in fact, that is what may fuel therapeutic progress once we bring it into the open and once we discover it. And because it suddenly you can have like jet fuel here, and
Yes.
the change may happen rapidly in a one session, and lasting change that is also very important, right? So that is great. So then application of methods, which is M in team, is
Yeah.
so rapid.
Speak to the methods.
So the thing is that very often, and I'm still sometimes uh, pulled into this, that when I see the patient struggling with something, I think, wow, this method would work really great.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and
Right.
I want to apply this method because that is perfect for this problem. But the problem is that when there is this undercurrent issues of values and other agendas that were not discovered, even the most brilliant method and the best applied won't work. So we like to have T before M, right? So,
Yes.
so of course, testing, which is also expression of empathy, which is then we have empathy and this agenda setting of discovering what are the values, what is important for the patient that may be in the way of achieving the therapeutic progress. And I mean, I went through therapy with David, and I saw, even though you know the process, you understand the process. When it's happening to you, it is incredible. It is incredible. So
Yes.
so really we have over 100 methods. So knowing methods is great, and that is what a lot of therapists are focusing. Oh, we will learn a lot of methods, but I
It's so
think
fun to put tools in our toolbox.
yeah, we like them, those methods. But really, what is the most difficult part is really this moving from empathy into this understanding and uncovering this resistance, these different agendas. That is the greatest part of it. And so we call it anticipating. How, what do you say? Assessing. How, can you remind me? Because instead of agenda setting, we also had several other A's, right?
Right. We like to call it
Anticipating and
anticipated resistance.
uh-huh.
Yes, and motivation enhancement.
Yes, yes.
Right.
So we
I
anticipate.
think. Go ahead.
So yeah, so in that stage, knowing the problem, we may anticipate what type of resistance the patient have, and then we can really uncover it. So yeah, with specific techniques. So that's great.
Yeah, so I'm thinking what the participants of the conference will come away with, right? So they'll come away with kind of the knowledge and some super helpful ways to implement testing, right? Which some people might know some things about. Maybe we'll give them a little few pearls about that. They'll come away with like strength and empathy skills, which sounds really simple. And like you were saying, when you first learned it, like when you see it, sometimes we're like, oh, that's very simple. It's one of those things like, but you aren't necessarily implementing. And once you implement, the power is incredible. And I mean, it can make all the difference in your interaction with a particular person. I mentioned to you that I trained a colleague at the county where we're dealing with patients who often have a hard time getting their needs met. They're often resort to anger to try to get their needs met. And I trained someone who had been dealing with a client who had been angry and hostile with the clinic for many years and really difficult. And this gentleman went through the training and he applied the empathy skills, right? That seems so simple, but are really complex to put into practice. And he put them into practice and he would like came back delighted, kind of glowing. He's like, this patient who like we've been at odds with for years, he's like, we had a good interaction. And we want to, deliver that to our participants where they're able to have that kind of experience, where like conflict is not something scary that we have to worry about, right? We can utilize conflict to even deepen our relationships.
Yes, that is very important. That actually we will not be afraid of conflict, so we can be much more honest about our own values, what we want, our goals, because we have great tools to resolve that conflict, right? To really understand each other, and so in the training that we'll do in Warsaw, we will practice a lot of that. We will not be just talking about it, not just demonstrating it, but all the participants will be practicing. So we have a huge number of hours of practice, and we will have moderators who will be coming to small groups. We have great faculty and supporters, and so this is great. So we will be able to practice, because what seems to be easy, in fact, is not so. And people will experience that, because people in the whatever we teach is immediately applicable. So people will leave the training with skills because they will already had practiced them. So conveying and implementing that in their practice is going to be automatic, practically. So,
yeah.
And after our last conference, we had so many people say that what they learned transformed their practice. So now they've been in training with Feeling Good Institute, often with me and with others, and they are full force, and I see how they are growing, and I'm a little bit jealous because some of them have definitely more talent than I have, and already are better than me in Team CBT. So.
Well, it's inspiring to be able to inspiring and it's like this great feeling of happiness and joy and awe when we get to train someone and see them just like flourish and put it to use and like transform their practice, like you said, and their personal lives many times as well.
Yeah, definitely personal lives. So that the best part here is that it applies to our work and applies to our personal life. It applies everywhere. And also as faculty, we also communicate using those principles. So yeah, so that and you see if someone experiences how much more effortless is the therapy, that is because there's no this antagonism or let's say polarity. I'm a
Yeah,
therapist, you are a patient, but when we are no, we are both looking forward, we are both moving
together.
in the same direction, so there is no that struggle, and then we can sometimes have huge success in the first session, right?
Yeah, do you want to talk about the single session?
Yeah, let's talk about single session. So
Yeah,
that
yeah.
I think that
Tell us.
for a lot of people, therapy is thought of, oh, many sessions that is going to take on, and but what I really like is that that David Burns and many other team CBTers are open to the fact that in a 2 or 2.5 hour session, the patient may experience uh, very profound transformation,
Yeah,
and that is lasting. And in fact, there is a lot of research showing that a lot of patients come only for one session. So why won't we give the patient that one session that is already giving them everything they need, right? And that may be complemented by another a relapse prevention session, because we also anticipate relapse as an inevitable part. So if you can inoculate the patient against relapse, or let's say what to do in relapse, because what they
right,
learn in that one session will be applicable for the rest of their lives for
right.
that particular problem. So yeah, so I think that giving people in single session, of course, not everybody uses single session. Some people work for agencies that have time limits on how long may be the session. Insurance companies don't pay for 2.5 hour sessions, so there are
Right.
limitations. But if we are able to apply it, then and Team CBT is not the only one. I know in our EBT, Wendy Dryden is also teaching single session therapy because it may be the really decrease the cost of therapy in general. If we allow people to have a walk-in clinics, when I'm in crisis, that is when the effectiveness of therapy is the greatest. So yes, that one session may be not utilized just to collect information from the patient and establish plan, but indeed to do some therapy and transform patients' lives. In that, it doesn't happen often to me. But when it happens, you you transforms you too. This work actually transforms me as a therapist, and to see that happening in front of you, and you are being a vehicle by which it is happening. This transformation is so thrilling and professionally rewarding and personally rewarding. Um, that's great. So, what are your ideas about single session therapy?
Yes, I love what you're saying about it, and that I think sometimes there's a debate in our field about this idea if people can be cured in a single session, and what can happen in a single session versus many sessions, right? And I think that we've seen that it's possible that both are true, that oftentimes a single session can make a world of difference. And like you said, someone can have a profound transformation. I don't even feel like that's overstating it. I feel a little emotional. Like it's so amazing to be a part of that and see that happen for someone in their life. And I also sometimes something else can happen where a number of sessions can happen. for someone before that change can happen, before that potential energy that you mentioned before is released, right? Sometimes we're kind of like working up to that explosion, and sometimes that explosion can happen right away. And we have the best chance for that, I think, when we give ourselves, like you mentioned, like a longer session, like often like a 2.5 hour session is the kind of seems like a perfect length to have that amazing transformation happen in one session. And I think you also mentioned when we were talking before about how, like, if we have a session where we have a lot of great work happen the first time, the person is more likely to come back, right? And which makes sense. Like, if I imagine myself going to see someone, if I'm going to go see you and the first time it's fantastic, then probably I'm going to be interested in seeing you again, right? And if the first is like, oh, humdrum, then I might not be as excited, right? And it also allows me, especially in TEAM CBT, where we have such helpful, useful, like mind shifting tools. We want to give someone a taste of that right at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Even if we have like a mini transformation the first time,
Mm-hmm.
that even that, like someone seeing that, I've never thought of it that way before. You know, the number of times we hear that from patients or clients or colleagues is I love hearing that.
Mm-hmm.
I thought of it that way before, like that shift. And when we can do that, I mean, I think of the impact of that in my life. Whenever I have an experience where I'm like, oh, I never thought of it that way before. Often it's like it's a shift in the direction of my life, right? And so when our patients and clients and colleagues have those shifts, it's so fun because we know they're shifting their life. They're like changing their life right then.
Yeah, so that's very good. So why two or 2.5 hours? Why it's that long? Because you want to pack everything in one session, which is all the team elements. Testing takes very little time, but empathy, not hurried, giving really space and time to empathy. People are also melting. They are discovering more because when you do doing empathy, you are already discovered a lot of negative thoughts that they carry with themselves, self-defeating beliefs that get uncovered during the empathy phase. And then when we do agenda setting, even more things, when we are looking differently on the negative emotions, because people are coming for therapy because they hate their anxiety, they hate the depression, they hate their unwanted habits or addictions, whatever, or they hate the conflict they are in relationships. So they want this to go away, but really understanding the process by which that those problems are still being maintained in their lives, discovering these mechanisms, how they maintain these processes, still these problems in their lives, opening it up, that shows, wow. And at the same time, we are really uncovering really deep rooted things. And takes time. And that takes time, takes empathy, and there cannot be, you cannot hurry through that. But the riches is there of material that can later on be applied to methods. So as a cognitive behavioral therapist, experienced cognitive behavioral therapist, before coming to TEAM, I was able to apply methods, but exploring this part of exploration of things that are not so apparent in patients' life. They don't know that they think that way. Like it is like this operating this system. They are operating under this operating system that has glitches and flaws, and we can uncover them and actually debug them right in the session. So
Yeah. And we start, because we start with the TEA before we do the M, we start with this deep understanding where we use like curiosity, respect, right? Respect for the client and respect for understanding of how, like you said, these things have been built and maintained. And it's the methods flow so much more easily and more effectively when we have this deep respect between us and the person that we're working with, whether it's our client or colleagues supervising.
so that is absolutely a great part of what we are doing. So addressing and one thing is that is we're in team therapist is very non-judgmental, right? Because we know because exactly we are curious about the other person. We want to know more about it, how they view the world, uh, without assessing that yet as, oh, that is adaptive, it is maladaptive. No, we don't jump into conclusion. And team is really transdiagnostic, right? So we are not wedded to one particular diagnosis and protocols related to that. But of course we see we are treating people, not diagnosis, right? So that is very, very different. Um, and of course, it is not just in therapy. We talk about the interpersonal lives, our personal lives, but you will be teaching something that I have not seen about corporate and business applications of Team CBT. Can you tell us more about? I can see how it could work, but I'm really intrigued how you and if you could give us in a nutshell what you are going to be teaching.
Yes, I am so excited for this business applications track. And if you're a student of business, management, leadership, entrepreneurship, I think you will find it super, super valuable.
Now, I need to tell you, surprising to us, in our last training last year, Team CBT, we had a lot of business people and a lot of human resources people who are who are learning how to communicate difficult things in an empathetic way and addressing really serious problems in their companies using team. But I'm sorry, I'm cutting you off. Jenny.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
simply so excited that it's hard to.
Oh,
I
the
mean, when
tools.
you are talking, I mean, a lot of ideas I have, and just want to share. Sorry for being.
I'm just thinking of how useful the tools would be and are for people in human resources, right? Because we have these tools that help you like not only manage conflict, but like conquer conflict. Like I think we mentioned, you feel instead of apprehensive going into conflict, you feel confidence, empowered, like ready to have this conflict transform into something that's like gold for the relationship, right? That like helps us become closer, helps us work more collaboratively together, right?
Exactly, because
Oftentimes we're afraid.
Yeah, and again, we think the energy of the conflict is usually the energy of the values that we have and that appear to be in conflict. But when we again bring it into the open, we have this the energy of that conflict is transformed into shift into new change that both parties may experience. So, but again, I'm
Yeah.
interrupting you again. So you Team CBT therapists don't interrupt as much as I do. So you see, I have a long way to go.
Well, I'm so excited to talk about each of those parts and the overall like business piece. But someone said the other day, a woman I respect and admire, and said something like, conflict is just a botched collaboration. So we just want to keep collaborating. We're just like we're on the road of collaboration. We just fell off for a moment, got a little conflicty, and we're just gonna bring it back. Like we're not gonna be overly concerned about that. We're just gonna get back on track. And we're designing this part for people in business, be them in middle management, be them in HR, entrepreneurs who are running companies. We've designed this because we want those people to have the tools to lead the number of people that they need to lead, be them their employees, sometimes themselves, and many times teams of people, right? So we're overseeing them, and we are imagining the confidence and competence that our business people will come away from after they experience this training in Warsaw. They're going to be able to, conflict is something that like can suck the energy out of a business, right? And if we can manage it, we can just smooth smooth the waters of business, which is what we want to do. Because when we're in business, we want to be efficient and productive and get stuff done, right? And we don't want to be like detracted by conflicts and other things that can pull us away from our mission. We want to continue to be mission driven. We want to be acting within these values, and we want to continue that productivity, and oftentimes with as much integrity, respect, and in alignment with our values as possible all the time.
Yeah, and so that is so exciting, and not so we will have several elements at the business track, as I saw the schedule. First day is about your own healing, right? I could see how you are really talking about thriving and at work and creating thriving environment for others, but also protecting yourself from you say crushing burnout and imposter syndrome in yourself. At the same time, retaining talent, because in this environment that you'll be creating, people will not be won't be quitting quietly or not or loudly. So
right. So I love it. You're catching on many of our highlights, right? We want to help our participants thrive at work themselves, right? So we want you as a participant to be feeling like on top of your game and great at work, and creating an environment at the office at your organization where everyone feels like they're thriving, right?
yeah.
And not drain, and not having burnout, and not worrying about imposter syndrome. We're going to crush that imposter syndrome. You guys are going to feel so free and alive and ready to go. It's going to be great, right? And we'll retain talent when we create these kind of environments that people want to work in, where people are listened to, where people are valued. But we're also getting two things, right? We're getting to work, we're getting things done, we're being efficient, we're being respectful, right? We're working together towards this common goal that we have.
Yeah, again, unleashing the energy that is in talent, and talented people love doing things that they have talent in. So that really allows everybody to grow and be profoundly satisfied with their with what they do.
That's such a good point. I want to say it again, like talented people love doing things they're talented at, right? So if we want to help our employees enjoy coming to work, we help them unleash their talents, help them put their talents in the world. And the other thing is that talented people love working with collaboratively with other talented people. Fun. And this is where we get like the 1 + 1 = 3.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Synergy.
Together.
Exactly.
Right. We get that synergy.
Perfect. So yeah, so I'm looking at the schedule, and I'm intrigued by one part here. You said solving and resolving business problems, and here the intriguing part, with inner wisdom and kick butt communication skills. I think I get the kick butt communication skills, but this inner wisdom. Can you just maybe tell us a little bit about some of that secret?
Oh, I think the greatest way to lead is utilizing our inner wisdom, right? So we have to get in touch with it. Sometimes we're kind of out here busy in the world, being busy, and we even might be focusing on how do I communicate effectively, right? Which we can totally teach people how to do that. We're all over that. But kind of coming back to ourselves and tuning into how do I do this with the most integrity? And integrity is generally when my behavior and my values are as closely aligned as possible. So oftentimes we can take just like 5 minutes or 3 minutes to get back in touch with that. Like, what do I want to accomplish here in this interaction between us? Right? What do I want to accomplish kind of in the outside world, but what do I want to accomplish in terms of how I feel about it? And also be aware of how in tune how you feel about it. Right? And how can I respect us both? Because having kick butt communication skills, we want to like get stuff done, right? We want to get being productive, we also want to respect the integrity that's in us. And so meeting those two, and I think when we feel great about what we're doing and what we're putting out, and when we're able to communicate that in a way that inspires and respects the integrity of others, then we can just go.
Unstoppable. Yes.
Yeah, then you're just unstoppable. You're just like, and you're unstoppable because you're willing to stop.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes. So you have to
You're
stop to become unstoppable. Yes. Very good
right,
point.
right. So we learn to like stop just a moment, unstoppable, right? The way, like, if we're not trying to become bulls in a china shop where we're just, you know, oh, we have all these great skills and we'll just like knock into people with them, right? Like, this is about like creating an amazing team where everyone is valued and everyone's highest and best contributions are coming forward. That's what we want as a leader of an organization or a team, right? And we want to feel amazing. We want to feel like I'm doing a great job leading this team, right? And they're all doing a great job contributing.
Yeah. So that is again this wonderful thing of because then is this spring of your inner wisdom, you know, this the talent and deeply seated the things that you yearned for achieving but may not always be aware of. Yes. Then uncovering them and then allowing them to thrive through that and thriving with it and alongside of these values and dreams and so on. This is so fantastic, you know, and suddenly you see possibilities that you have not seen before. Something opens up and wow, you say, where did that come from? It has been there, but now I see it so differently and clearly. You know, so yeah, that is wonderful.
Yeah. So I love how you say that, because I'm imagining participants coming to this conference and they might go back to their same job position, right? Leadership place, right? But I'm imagining they'll have that experience that you described. Like, they'll see things differently. They'll see things they didn't see before. And because of that, they'll make like new decisions and take new actions that will shift things for them and for their whole team.
That is wonderful. Wow, it is so exciting to talk to you. And you know, I'm so happy that we are going to be co-presenters, and then I could listen to you too, and I practice the skills that you teach people. So I'm really looking forward to it, and so let's invite as many people as they can to our training in Warsaw. We have the dates here, March 30th to April 2nd. We have over 31 hours, didactic hours in those 4 days. So it's going to be very intense work. We have a wonderful team of our faculty. You can look them up on the website, teamcbt.eu, or in Polish, teamcbt.pl. And David Burns himself is going to grace us with his presence twice. He's going to give the keynote and on the first day a question and answer period, and then on the second day he's going to demonstrate exactly this single session therapy, how it works.
Excellent, not to be missed.
Yeah, so if you have doubts if it's possible, you can see. So I have never seen him in a demonstration to not accomplish what he set out to do. So, but there is always possibility that he may fail. So, so you may come to see the transformation, or you may come to see maybe it's not going to happen, and he's going to
The
be
very first.
yeah, it will be his very first. So, but he is accompanied by wonderful Jill Levitt, and she's the head of training at Feeling Good Institute. So yes, we are happy to have both of them, and we have 3 hours. We gave them 3 hours for that to do the demonstration with one of the participants from the audience. So it may be you, maybe someone who's listening to us now. Be in therapy with David Burns. So it is demonstration therapy. It is not a real therapeutic relationship, but the same effects can happen. So yeah, so come over before the fees goes up in the middle of March. So sign up quickly.
Yes, I think we would love like nothing better to spend time with our participants and for them to come away feeling like, wow, this like shifted my direction in a way that's awesome for my life.
And actually, if you are interested in getting a discount, for those of you who listen to all this interview, we are offering you a 20% discount.
Ooh.
Yes. And the discount is thanks to Leigh Harrington, with whom I just talked, and it can you and the spelling of her, the discount code is her first name, as you can see on her screen, Leigh, and number 20. So Leigh 20 is the discount for participation in this conference for those of you who listened. Thank you very much, Leigh.
I love that. Thank you, Mariusz. It's a joy to speak with you, and I'm super excited about the time we'll spend in Warsaw and the people we'll share all these goodies with.
Thank you very much, Leigh. That's so exciting. Bye-bye.
Bye.